Hi, it's Chris Titley here, and we're live at the Sports Strategy Summit for Drinky time. The end of the panellists, the end of all the information today. I'm joined by Kylie Elwood. Kylie, thank you so much for having a chat with me this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
Firstly, the day itself. How was it?
It's been amazing. Met some really amazing people who are doing some things in the sporting industry, but also in the business industry, and helping us to understand how business and sport go together and how we can support better as business owners.
And the connection between sport and business is very paramount today, with 300 people, sort of not all sport, not all business, but somewhere in between.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's some very heavy hitters here from all different levels of government, and we've got some media entities that are here as well, helping us to understand more about who our target market is and how we can engage with our community. But I think the biggest thing out of today is about collaboration. How can we collaborate more in business with athletes as well?
And Kylie, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here.
So I have a business called Athlete Insights. I'm a co-founder of that, and that business really started from a passion when my daughter was in sport, and my background is in coaching and NLP and behavioural profiling, and I really identified that grassroots netball communities, especially, or in any sport, is all volunteer based, and so we're putting our young grassroots athletes in the hands of coaches who may not necessarily have the training and the support to be able to support those athletes. So that's where Athlete Insight started, was around how do we bridge that gap and help support not only the athletes but also the coaches and the organisations to help build resilient athletes.
Do you think other sports also require frameworks and governance and things like that when it comes to what you've done for netball?
Sporting industry, it's across the board. So I think, in every different type of area of sport we could use that. And it also crosses over into business as well. And as you know, a lot of sports people grow up to be, in C-suite roles.
And what's one of the main themes or takeouts that you've had from today's information that you've got? And obviously collaboration is a big part of it. But are you also excited about Brisbane's future?
I think collaboration's key, and I think one of the biggest things is around our goals. So making sure we've got the eye on the prize, which anyone in the sport is used to having big goals and big pictures and dreams, and it's about the journey along the way and who we take that journey with and how we get there. And there's always going to be successes. There might be some pitfalls as well, but I think as a community in Queensland and Brisbane, we're on the right track for success. But it's also about the legacy. So we're not just talking about what we're creating for 2032. We're talking about what is happening beyond 2032 and the legacy that we leave.
I'm curious around your thoughts around interviewing a lot of athletes about trusting the process and outcomes derived of the process. But when it comes to winning and losing, kids are always very aware of winning and losing. Where does that sit in your framework when you see kids that maybe the games are not scored, but they go, we lost 2-0 even though it's not scored, etc. How do you think about that as an early stage, particularly in netball and other sports that, there's a high competitive style of, I suppose, grassroots sport?
Yeah, I think one of the things that came out today, which we do well in the representative community, is good, better, how. So looking at not so much of did we win or lose, but how did we do today? How do we improve? How do we reflect on maybe the areas that we need to do better? And how do we actually achieve that? So I think it really starts not only with the association, but it's the language that we're using when we're speaking to our youth around sports. Obviously, we all want to win. We're all highly competitive, but we need to make sure we're supporting and creating a resilient mindset about losing as well.
And with all the social media and gaming and stuff that wasn't really around when we were growing up, I personally believe the importance of kids playing sports more important than ever. I'm keen to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's really interesting, I think, with the gaming community and looking at kids not being out. I was just having this conversation earlier with Jason's wife around, we've got smaller backyards, we've got less time because people are so busy. And, when my daughters were young, they were about 6, And I had this dad come over to me at a birthday party and tell me that my kids shouldn't be climbing a tree. And I make sure that my kids have done gymnastics and done all sorts of sports. So I trusted in their ability to be able to, do what they need to do. And I think we need to create more opportunities for these children to be able to get outdoors, and that's from a financial perspective, but also from a community support perspective. I've noticed we've got actually an athlete in our community who doesn't get the family support, and they don't have the funding, and thankfully she's got the support around her, but if you don't have access to that community to get out and be more active, that's where we're ending up in, obesity, mental health, all those sorts of things. It's a ripple effect, really.
Absolutely. We're sitting here on a beautiful winter's day where you can play a sport outside in the middle of winter here in Brisbane too. Kylie, one word to describe Brisbane at the moment?
Apart from it being cold because it's winter and we're Queenslanders, I think there's a lot of excitement in Brisbane, to be honest. That we've got the drive for 232, we've talked about that we've got 6 years, but I think the language today was changed that to 5 years because we really need that year to start doing that reflection. But I think there's an element of excitement and anticipation of what's coming.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Kylie, for the chat, and looking forward to go and network and be forth and make lots of deals and have lots of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.